Hey everybody, today I wanted to share a short video on Premortal Israel. Did the people known as Israel start here on the earth, or did they exist premortally? Let's take a dive into that question. Israel as a title, did it exist premortally? According to the number of the children of Israel. That's the phrase we're going to focus on from this reading of Deuteronomy 32, 7 through 9. Remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee, thy elders, and they will tell thee. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. For the Lord's portion is his people, Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. So it seems that Israel was foreknown, and according to many quotes from prophets and apostles, that Israel predates this earth. The people were identified as Israel long before we came to earth, and that the premortal existence was much more than we think it is. Let's take a look. Israel is an eternal people. She came into being as a chosen and separate congregation before the foundations of the earth were laid. She was a distinct and peculiar people in pre-existence, even as she is in this sphere. Her numbers were known before their mortal birth. The very land surface of the earth was divided to the nations for the inheritance according to the number of the children of Israel. Bruce R. McConkie. Israel is a group of souls tested, tried, and proven before they were born into the world. Through this lineage were to come the true and tried souls that had demonstrated their righteousness in the spirit world before they came here. Melvin J. Ballard. We are the seed of Ephraim and of Abraham and of Joseph, who was sold into Egypt. And these are the instruments that God has kept in the spirit world to come forth in these latter days, to take hold of this kingdom and build it up. These are my sentiments with regard to the Latter-day Saints. Wilford Woodruff. Your spirits were created and lived as organized intelligences before the world was. You have been blessed to have a physical body because of your obedience to certain commandments. In that premortal state, you are now born into a family to which you have come, into the nations through which you have come, as a reward for the kind of lives you lived before you came here, and at the time in the world's history, as an Apostle Paul taught, the men of Athens, and as the Lord revealed to Moses, determined by the faithfulness of each of those who lived before this world was created. Harold B. Lee. Despite that the calling, which is spoken as foreordination, we have another inspired declaration. Behold, there are many called, but few are chosen. This suggests that even though we have our free agency here, there are many who were foreordained before the world was, to a greater state than they have prepared themselves for here. Even though they might have been among the noble and great, from among whom the Father declared he would make his chosen leaders, they may fail of the calling here in mortality. Harold B. Lee. The spirits of men had their free agency. Some were greater than others, and from among them the Father called and foreordained his prophets and rulers. The spirits of men were not equal. They may have had an equal start. We know they were all innocent in the beginning, but the right of the free agency which was given to them enabled some to outstrip others, and thus, through the eons of immortal existence, to become more intelligent, more faithful, for they were free to act for themselves, to think for themselves, to receive the truth or rebel against it. The Lord declared through Moses the following: Remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations, when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. A similar passage to this occurs in Acts, where Paul declares to the Athenians that the Lord hath made of one blood all nations of men, for to dwell on all the face of the earth, and hath determined the times before appointed, and the bounds of their habitation. These passages clearly indicate that the numbers of the children of Israel were known, and the bounds of their habitation fixed. In the days of old, when the Lord divided to the nations their inheritance, we conclude, therefore, that there must have been a division of spirits of men in the spiritual world, and those who were appointed to be the children of Israel were separated and prepared for a special inheritance. Joseph Fielding Smith. In conclusion, we see that the premortal existence seems to be much more detailed, much more like this life than we realize. That there were divisions and people that were grouped based on their faithfulness, and it seems that many made covenants with the Lord. There seems to be a lot of interesting dynamics that are going on, and based on that, some will receive greater opportunities in this life, but really all have the equal opportunity. Joseph Smith taught that God is willing to give all that he has as fast as the person is able to receive it. It's a rough paraphrase, but I do believe God is perfectly just. If we really desire with all our hearts to receive something, he will help us get it if it's good and true. So desire goodness and truth. Desire righteousness and thirst and hunger after righteousness, for you will be filled with the Spirit of God. I hope that you enjoyed this video.